Well, here we are. It's Friday, February 3rd, 2023. I'm Larissa. Here we are. Oh, hey, mister. How are you? You just hopping up here? Are your foots wet? You got wet foots? You got wet foots? Is it raining outside, huh? When the rain washes you clean, you'll know. You will know. Whoa, 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 you'll know. Right? Thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing. I said women, they will come and they will go. I see Stevie Nicks is touring. Oh. Yeah, she is. She's got a crazy story, huh? Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac. I like their music a whole lot. I don't give a shit about their sordid love triangle stories, right? Not my business. Not my business. Monday morning, you sure look fine. Friday, I've got traveling on my mind. Oh, when I was doing open mic circuit all the time, right? One of the places I used to go was El Rio in Mission in San Francisco. Most train wreck. And I found out about that open mic because I knew this woman, Deb Grabian. And she's like, oh, you should come down. All right. I was invited, so I went. And then they were weird to me a lot of the time. And Deb got real weird with me, and so did her. So did a lot of her friends. I don't know. I don't know what I did. I don't know. I don't know. She told me that I wasn't raised right. Like, okay, whatever. What did she mean? I don't know. She was offended that I was Christian. I really think is a big part of what it was. But anyway, so I was trying to make an album, right? I was trying to find people to work with, and everybody was just wanting to charge me lots and lots and lots of money, and there was always like excuses and steal off of each other and all kinds of shit. Anyway, you'd go into the open mic and supposed to have, tell them what song you wanted to play, whatever. And I wanted to do Landslide, and I was told that Stevie Nicks didn't want me singing her songs. That's what I was told. Right? They said that Stevie Nicks said that I was too young to sing Landslide, and I was 34, 35, something like that. 35. It was, and then Miley Cyrus recorded it. I'm like, how come she's allowed to sing it? She's younger than me. Took my life, took it down. Climbed a mountain and I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills. And a landslide brought it down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tide? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bold, and even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Right? What can I say? Little cracks and scratches in my voice. I just woke up. I haven't even warmed up, nothing. I haven't even brushed my teeth. Still. Anyway. Stevie Nicks, good for you. I understand you had troubles with cocaine. I don't know. I don't even know if that's true. Maybe they made that shit up because they do that. They make shit up about people. Or they drug people and then tell people that they have a drug problem. The whole thing with Anne Heche. She's all sitting up, and they had video of her when they're putting her in the ambulance, and she's all sitting up and animated, and then they say, oh, she was all drugged out and in a coma. No, I don't think so. And then they said there were no, the autopsy came back, said there were no drugs in her system. Oh my God. Crazy shit, right? Oh, they used to tell me all kinds of crazy shit down there at El Rio. I did. And the last time I was there, I was like really, really turned off. So there was this guy, Brian Cozy, who used to manage the bar at Dorsey's, and they wouldn't let him buy the bar, right? They sold it to somebody from Chicago who then ended up bulldozing the place because they couldn't make money in it. Anyway, after post Dorsey's, Brian was doing an event at the Freemasons, right? Because he was a Freemason, at the Shriners. And it was he was working with some sort of foster youth and stuff. Anyway, not just foster youth, but other people. It was an open mic kind of thing you go to. And anyway, he introduced me to, there was a young musician who, young man, he was living with a family in Berkeley, and he was a really gifted guitar player. And I was like, all right, we play some music together. I didn't mind. For me, it wasn't about age. It was about musical ability. And I mean, I didn't want to be playing with really young children, but I wasn't looking for a romantic relationship or anything. I was looking for a musical, professional relationship, and that age doesn't have much to do with that. So he came over. It was on one of the days when there was going to be open mic at El Rio, because I said to Brian, I said, okay, I'll work with him. I'll work with him. And I said, this is where I'm going to take him down to El Rio, because part of what this kid's issue was when he was talking to me was, he's like, I don't know. He's like, sometimes I feel like I'm a woman. Sometimes I feel like I'm like, okay, I wasn't going to, either way, promote or discourage. I was just giving him, what I got from him, listening to what he was telling me about what his past, because he'd been with a number of foster families, that he'd been severely sexually abused, is really what the story was. And he never came out and told me exactly what was done to him, but there was innuendo and inference. And he'd been a runner. He had done some time jumping trains and the kinds of things, like literally jumping trains and riding freight trains, running away, and he'd been prostituted and things, like, young. This was a young man, and El Rio, they presented themselves as like this welcoming, accepting, supportive, safe place kind of thing for everyone, right? And he went with me down to this thing. I asked him. I said, are you 18? He's like, yeah, I'm 18. Why does it matter? I'm like, because we're going to a club, And he said, I'm 21. I'm like, all right. So we went down to this club, and they let him in with me, and we did the open mic, like, because we did Spooky. In the cool of the evening. It was in January. Pajamuary is what the theme was. And so like I had this green, I had this, was it purple slip? What is it, the purple one or the green one? And then I had this robe, and I gave him I gave him a robe to wear too. Like it wasn't anything, it wasn't in his underwear or anything like that. But the theme was Pajamuary. And then I had this red wig, and I put on the Queen Helene face mask, right? The mint julep Queen Helene face mask, and we did Spooky, and it was funny, right? It was funny. In the cool of the evening when everything is getting kind of groovy. And I'm wearing this crazy, like, strawberry shortcake red wig and this green Queen Helene mask. And I'm wearing, like, I was wearing more clothes than Nicki Minaj wears to go to the grocery store, right? It was funny. It was funny. Well, I'm not his mom, and I don't know what he was doing, but he gets kicked out. And I got like reamed for bringing him. I didn't see what he did. Nobody would tell me what he did. I have no idea what he did or didn't do or said or didn't say. All I know is that he was pissed when we were leaving, and he was spitting and like literally spitting and swearing and like flailing around. And I said, hey, I said, calm down. I said, I'm taking you home. I said, I've had enough of this too. Because nobody would tell me anything. And I was pissed. I'm like, I had been going there for doing that open mic for a couple years at that point, right? And I just really felt like I'd been shit on, right? I mean, this was obviously a young person in distress, and all of these people who were there claimed to be, so open-hearted and supportive of community. And I thought, since it was El Rio and this kid was having some kinds of sexual gender identity issues, that this would be a supportive, safe place for him to be, particularly since he was so talented. And these were a lot of professional musicians, right? Couldn't have been more wrong. I called down there the next day, and I told them exactly what I thought and said that I wouldn't be back. But that kid, um, he hugged me. He hugged me before he got out of the car. When we got in the car, he sat in the back. And I just, like a child, like a small child would with a parent, he sat in the back, and he sat in the middle seat, like in a car seat. And he sat with his knees up around his chest. And before he got out of the car, he like grabbed me and hugged me real tight. And he said, I love you, Mom. And I was just like, what? And he got out of the car, and then he wouldn't return any of my phone calls when about, and I was like, okay, whatever. But I was angry because, kids that are having those kinds of problems, you get one shot. And I felt let down by that community in supporting that kid. Really did. Really, really did. Open mic circles. What a waste. So when I started singing again, it'd been a number of years since I had sung, and I had kind of given it up when I went to arts. Well, it was before art school, when they put me on all the drugs. Kind of given up singing because they affected my voice, and my parents never let me be in any of the things that I even got parts in or whatever. So, and it's like nobody really wanted to work with me or whatever, and it was just easier to not be engaged with music at all than it was it's painful, and I kind of feel that way about it now. Singing makes me feel good. I feel good when I sing. And that's always used against me. Anyway, I was just really, we were in Santa Rosa, and Omar just totally had shut me out of his life, you know. That's when it was just like, okay, I was totally alone, and it's when I had first started attending at the UU, and they had that big space that was empty. I had gone down. I tried going down. We lived down the street from the cathedral in Santa Rosa. I tried going there in the afternoons and just singing, and they told me to be quiet and asked me to leave. I was like, okay. So I did. They were anti-choice. They used to have signs and everything out all the time. That's why they didn't like me there. So that's when I started going down to the UU, and they let me come in as long as they didn't have a rental. I was allowed to sit in the space and sing. And I did that like once a week, once or twice a week for an hour, hour and a half. And afterwards, I would feel better and I would leave. It felt good. And then somebody said, "Oh, you should. There's open mics." I didn't know anything about open mics. You should go do open mics. And that's when I started going out and doing open mics. And oh, I really don't like musicians in general. Musicians are money grubbing, stingy, conniving, backstabbing jerks. They are. And guitar players, doesn't matter what age they are, they're always trying to fuck you. And the ones who aren't want tons of money. So it's like you either have to fuck them or you have to pay them lots of money to play with you. Like, oh. First open mic that I used to go do was at Cafe Azul. And then they told me about the one at Aubergine. And they told me about one at this place called the Black Cat. I had no idea that the Black Cat was a lesbian bar. I don't know why they thought I was a lesbian. Maybe, I guess because I had short hair. I guess because I was short hair. I had short hair and I was married and I didn't have kids. So they thought I was a lesbian. Oh, yeah, that's what that means. Please. So I went and I sang at the Black Cat one time. And I was, when I got there and I saw what it was, I was like, oh, all right. I'll stay for the open mic. I have no problem performing. But the woman who was the bartender there that night, I can still see her face. She looked like she was either Native American, Latina. She had real short hair, a little bit of a mustache, little boobies, little baby tea, and she was bartending, and she's like, why are you here? After a little while, she's like, I said, oh, somebody told me there was an open. She just told me about the open mic. She's like, oh, did you know she said, did you know we're a gay bar? I said, no, I didn't. I had no idea. And she laughed, and I said, am I welcome? She says, oh yeah, you're certainly welcome. She said, but you won't have any fun here. I was like, oh, okay. She's like, you're welcome to come back. She says, but just know, this is a lesbian bar. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I didn't go back. That's the one and only time I went to the Black Cat. One and only time. But she laughed. She's like, who told you to come here? I said, Michael Lindner. She's like, oh, it was funny. Who told you to come here? Yeah, so I did the... Oh. Anyway. Open mic circuit. I went down, I did the open mic here a couple times, and at this coffee house that's down here, the Ugly Mug. No, thank you. No, thank you. Tired of that. And I used to do spoken word open mics for my poetry, and sometimes I would sing. Sometimes I'd sing my poetry because I had a lot of my poetry I had put melodies to. You know, that's how Jill Scott writes. I'm tired of performing for free or paying. Worse, you pay to perform. No, thank you. Yesterday, oh my God, it's ADT. So somebody breaks into my space, right, and is trying to scare me, right, tearing at the alarm system, right, and then trying to sell me ADT. First guy that calls me, his phone doesn't even have his name on it. It has some bitch's name. I said, I've talked about this. Crystal Rosario, right? And he called when he calls me, he says, "Oh yeah, our records show that you have our equipment." And I'm like, my sensors were up because I'm like, that's not what the sticker in the window says. And I said, "Oh, somebody just broke in and tried to pull my alarm system off the wall." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, it sounded like he was acting, right? Like, this doesn't sound right. I'm like, So, talked to him twice and put him off twice. And then I get an email from ADT saying, "Oh, you have a scheduled appointment from ADT." I'm like, "No, I don't." And they wanted me to click on a website. I'm like, not going to happen. So yesterday I blocked his number. Well, right after, like 5 minutes after I blocked this dude's number, or this person's number, I get a call from somebody else, from a 925 number. Right? From ADT. And I'm just like, you guys are relentless. And now I don't trust you. And I'm feeling a little thugged. Like, it felt creepy. So everything's been screwy, and stuff's been screwy with the phone. So originally when I was trying to set up my phone, I called AT&T 3 times. There was bullshit. First 2 times they didn't show up. Third time I get a phone call to confirm the appointment, and they're saying that that it's in Bethel, Georgia, the address. I'm like, what? So after that, I'm like, fuck you, AT&T. And I called Comcast, and Comcast came out and set up my service. So I have Comcast, right? Well, I got an email from the woman that I originally talked to from AT&T, right? And we see your order's still open, and I'm like, I emailed her back. I said it was a clown show. I said 3 times. So I went with Comcast, and I have service now. Well, this morning I have an email from AT&T saying I have an appointment scheduled for installation. Whatever. I'm not even opening. I'm not like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Brody, what do you think? What do you think, Brody? What do you think? Brody, did the Warriors lose last night? Did the Big Pirogue beat them? Did the Big Pirogue beat them? He didn't even stuff it once. Furry Murray. Furry Murray. Cantankerous Pope on a rope. Contagious Pope on a rope. Denver McNuggets. Denver McNuggets. Why is Nicola's got arms all cut up like that? Nicola, is that, who you fighting with? Who you fighting with? Who's cutting up your arms? You had a big cut on the inside of your left elbow? Somebody try to slice you open? What's going on? What the hell happened there? Steph had 3 giant bruises on the outside of his right leg. What is going on? What are you guys doing? What are you doing? You guys like having street fights before the games or something? Seriously, dudes. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Hey, Ron. Hey, Ron. He's so cute. He is. Oh, my goodness. I think I had him in art class. Mr. Ron Gordon. You need to raise your hand when you're going to ask a question. Oh. Whatever. It's so cold and it feels like rain, she said. The wind is blowing, it's the end of the world, she said. It's so cold, like the cold if you were dead. Then she smiled for a second. Oh. It's raining outside. My hip has been hurting. Brody, did you go outside in the rain? Did you? Hey, buddy. Hey, sweet boy. How are you? How are you, buddy? I don't know. All the weird stuff, I just feel creeped out all the time. It doesn't make me feel safe. It makes me feel oppressed. I feel like I don't have any privacy. And it's like, all right, if you want to be my friend or have a relationship with me, like, it needs to be face to face. Like, I need to know who I'm talking to. It's not fair. I'm not your animal to be kept. Oh, I don't even really pay attention when we watch the games anymore. It's just, it has become, I'm lost the enjoyment. And that makes me sad. I feel exploited. That's the right word. I feel exploited.